2018. Let's do it. Let's try to do it. Anyway, it's January, it's a new year, blah blah blah. Pretend positivity inserted here. Anyway, so naturally, I read some books in December. See, throughout the month, I felt like I was slumping and giving up on life. Naturally, turns out that was not the case. But yeah, let's get into the books. So, first of all, I've mentioned it before, I'm quite sure, and if you follow me on Twitter, you probably have noticed, but December is, as always, hashtag Harry Xmas to you, which is organized by Maureen over on Maureen Kiwi. It's a read-a-watch-along-a-thon of the Harry Potter books and movies, and I love it. I was lucky enough to host one of the watch-alongs for the films. I made a video for the Harry Xmas to You channel. I will link that down below in case you want to check it out. It's a bit of a sketch type thing. It's rather mediocre if I do say so myself, but anyway, fun. And of course, I listened to some of the Harry Potter books on audio because my library had them and I was very excited. So I started off with Order of the Phoenix, which, if you don't know, remains to this day my absolute favorite Harry Potter book. It's, in my opinion, the darkest, the angstiest. I love it. It's literally so heartbreaking, and Harry is so done with life that honestly, mood. Yeah, and I love it. I then obviously continued on with Half-Blood Prince and The Deathly Hallows, and I love it. I love Harry Potter so much. Anyway, that's a given. And then I shall go back to my category sorting of the books. So I have read comic books as always. I read volume 2 of Justice League. That's part of the new 52 shebang. It's called The Villainous Journey by Jeff Johns, Jim Lee, and Scott Williams. I liked volume 1 of this. I was intrigued enough naturally to continue. I would say I enjoyed volume 2 a little more than the first one. Probably because there is some more focus on Wonder Woman and I love her. The jokes at Batman's expense keep continuing, which I'm always here for. And I really do want to keep reading the series because I highly enjoy it, shockingly enough. Or maybe not just as shockingly, but still. You might not know this, but I'm a firm believer that Agent Margaret Peggy Carter is our lady and savior. So I finally read Operation Sin, and that's a Agent Carter comic book. I think it came out back in the day when the show was on. Oh, shame. Shame about the show. Anyway, so I didn't like this that much. I thought that just, you know, using the TV Peggy on the cover is a bit of false advertisement, because this Peggy in the comic is a blonde. She's American. She's spunky and professional like Peggy, but she's not quite there. I can actually kind of understand why the comic book series was cancelled after this volume, because it's a little all over the place, and would I not be that in love with Peggy as a character, I wouldn't be tempted to ever pick up anything else in this series as a priority. We then have arcs. First of all, I started this in November and then carried on in December. It's Spare and Found Parts by Sarah Maria Griffin. If you've seen my favorite books of 2017, we'll link that down below, because get that self-promo, you know. This is one of my favorite reads of the year. It's definitely my favorite debut I've read in a while. I'm in disbelief that it is a debut because it's so good. It's so well written. It's amazing. It's basically a futuristic steampunky type of retelling of Frankenstein, which sounds like everything I want in life and more. The protagonist, as I've mentioned in my favorites video, is a bit of a mix of Justice League Cyborg, which obviously I am into, and then Katniss Everdeen, and then Dr. Frankenstein, the Frankenstein monster. It's a wild ride. It's amazing. I'm very intrigued by the world. I love the writing style. I think the characters are so well shaped. I think the story is very engaging, and overall, I just love this book. It's already out in the US. I believe it came out in 2016, and it shall be out in UK and Ireland soon enough. I will check the exact date and link that in the doobly-doo. And then an arc that I was lucky enough to get from work is Shell by Paula Roththorne. Is that her name? Anyway, this is also a bit of a very, very loose, contemporary-esque Frankenstein retelling. There is a class scene in this where they're literally studying Frankenstein. I thought it was a bit, on the nose, like I get it. But at the same time, I didn't mind it. It was cheesy, but I did believe that it worked with the plot. Anyway, this follows this girl who is suffering from a terminal illness, and then in order to prolong her life, which again, it's a very loose term, her parents take her to this clinic where they basically transfer her brain and her eyes into a dead person's body. It's weird. I wasn't sure if I would like it because at first, the very first few chapters are her in the hospital, and obviously I can't relate, so I wasn't sure if any of the things that they were saying could come across as ableist. I'm still a bit iffy because I don't know, so I definitely want to look out for future reviews of the book. But as a whole, I really enjoyed it, or at least I was there for the ride. I was very invested in the story. I was very invested in the protagonist's struggle. I thought all the characters and their motives and actions were very well developed, and I look forward to reading some more stuff by this author. For some reason, I kept thinking this is a debut, which it is not, but still, yeah, very solid read. And then I read, finally, a novel by the goddess of YA herself. I read The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. If you don't know, Becky is the queen of fluff and cuteness, and this is her latest release, and everyone and their mother and their dog and their mother's dog has read this except for me, except now I can say that I've read it myself. It is a cutesy YA contemporary, as you can imagine, following our main protagonist, Molly, trying to navigate life, and you can imagine what that means. It's pretty much your typical YA. It's just a teen trying to make it through life, handle family dilemmas, crushes, anxiety, just life in general. It's adorable. And being a, cutesy, fluffy YA, you might argue that, Gabby, there's a lot of that. But the diversity in this is beautiful. It's so seamlessly introduced, and it's so realistic and organic and beautiful, and you can tell that Becky isn't adding it in order to tokenize the diverse characters, because there's so many intersections of their identities. So the main character, Molly herself, she is a fat, neurodivergent character on medication. Actually, my favorite part about the book was how seamlessly the thing about Molly just taking her anxiety meds was introduced, because it's just, another part of the routine, but it's there and it's relatable, it's adorable. And then there are queer women of color, and it's just perfect, and I love it so much. It's so woke. I did realize though that it didn't make my personal favorites of the year, because it turns out I prefer my contemporaries to be heartbreaking and gut-wrenching and painful. This is just heartwarming, and it feels like a hug in book form. So, nevertheless, it's a very, very solid read. I read some more poetry. I read The Sun and Her Flowers by Ruby Kaur, because I'm a typical white girl who spends her time on Tumblr from time to time. I did enjoy this. It was a bit of a conflicting experience, because the first part of it I could have done without. It was not engaging, it was highly meh in my honest opinion, but then it kept getting better and better and better, and the poems that I loved, I really, 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 really loved, especially some of the very lengthy pieces. I thought those were phenomenal. Then the ones on identity and sort of immigration, refugees, all that. I thought those were stellar. They were spectacular. They were absolutely my favorite pieces out of the whole collection. But then there were a lot of poems, again, that I could have done without. I felt they were very underwhelming. I felt like they looked worse in contrast to the masterpieces that they were preceded by. So this was quite a wild ride because the highs were high, but then the lows were so low. And finally, my last read of the year that I carried on in January, I'm still reading it, is Undercover Princess by Connie Glen. Connie is a YouTuber. You might know her as Noodlerella. This is her debut. At work, we classify it as a middle grade, but the characters are like 14, 15, so take that as you will. I would say this is a mix between the atmosphere of Harry Potter, because British boarding schools with houses, you know, that's cliche Harry Potter and we all know it. And then there's this tiny bookwormy character who's so Hermione, it hurts, but I love her. And then the core female friendship element of Vampire Academy, and just the Princess Protection Program, which is one of Disney's top original movies. Don't even at me. It's very fluffy. I felt it was borderline cheesy at times, but I am 260 pages in, and I'm rather enjoying it this far. It's very light, it's very heartwarming, it's very fun, it's engaging. You know, I'm here for the ride. Anyway, please do let me know what books you've started, or rather, I guess ended, because this December wrap-up. Gabby, what are you doing? Yeah, please do let me know what books you've ended the year with, or if you've read any of these, and I'll see you at some point this year, I would assume. Bye!